Thank you. Our first question will start with Stuart Bowley and work down to the table. What is your perspective on the working relationship between the city and the county, and how will you as a commissioner strengthen that relationship?
Well, good relationships between the city and our community partners are important. It's important to our success as a community. However, we have to make sure that you're not having to pay double payments for things like the health department. When you make double payments through your city taxes and through your county taxes, you're paying a higher price than Douglas County residents who live outside the city limits. So I think mutual respect is important. I think cooperating is important. I think driving in our own lane is important. And I think having candid conversations is important as well. Thank you.
I think it's absolutely a concern because I think it's fair to say that there has been a fair degree of degradation in our relationship between the city and the county over the past several years, between discussion of hiring the fire chief to taxing policies, as Stuart had said. There's a degradation in the relationship there, and we need to do what we can to repair it. That would include, I would be open to more joint meetings with the county to discuss those sorts of joint issues. I do think we need to revisit some taxing policies between the city and the county, in particular with funding of those joint issues that we do with. But part of it also has to be some respect. I think the city has done some things in the very recent past that makes the county not necessarily want to trust us. And I think we need to acknowledge our faults in that and try to build a relationship from there.
I would echo that certainly the relationship between the city and county is not what it should be. I think it can be better. I think, when I think about what the role of the city is, in many ways, it's about building partnerships. You succeed by building partnerships. You succeed with building partnerships between all the different organizations, be it the chamber, be it the neighborhood group, be it the school district, be it the county. And I think the important part of that is to have those honest and open discussions and be seen as a partner, be seen as someone who wants to work together to make this community better. We have enough problems that we don't need to be fighting amongst ourselves. We need to be working together to find the right solutions.
Well, in some ways, I am a county official. I serve on the Douglas County Extension Council. So Research and Extension is an office in Douglas County that hosts the county fair. That's the most famous thing they do, but also 4-H, growing growers, helping farmers kind of get an idea of what the agricultural business might be like. And so K-State Research and Extension is all about collaboration. And I think that is really critical. When I was sitting down with the Lawrence Firefighters Department, they have endorsed our campaign, they were talking about the importance of collaboration in our emergency response services. And our campaign is focused on global warming and what that's going to mean for our communities as we move into a future with increasingly extreme weather events. We have to get our relationships down pat now, so that way we can have the quick response and the collaboration we need to address increasingly large crises.
So there's a reason that I mentioned that I earned my Master's in Public Administration from KU. One of my platforms is keeping city and county governments independent from each other. And a couple months ago, some talk started about whether or not to merge those two governing bodies. So through the research techniques that I learned through my MPA, Dr. Robinson, see you over there. I looked into it. I did some research. There's a model called the Rosenbaum-Kammerer method. And what it tells us is that we're not at the crisis climate yet for that. But what I saw as this issue kind of developed was that the governing bodies weren't really talking to each other. And I think that was evident. So it's not just what can we do to improve the relationship between the city and county, but also what we can do to improve the relationship between the city and the USD, the school board, the governing bodies. And that's the kind of collaborative leadership that I've, out of time.
Yeah, I think we all agree that obviously that the relationships have been damaged. I think everyone agrees that in government there are efficiencies that can be found. All taxpayers want to make sure their money is being spent well. But I don't know that I think brute force or cutting funding without having any kind of diplomatic discussion or consensus is the way. And I agree with all these gentlemen that, you know, respect needs to be restored in those relationships, and that's the only way we are going to be able to gain consensus with our very important partners. Again, also not just the county, but the school district. I can see that most people up here are willing to do that work together.